The question is, how do you manage your time between your fitness stuff, writing your book, work, family, Ramadan fasting, all of that combined? I got a question. Well, I got the answer to the question right here. What I want to showcase to you here is the airplane model, or the Arrowhead model, however you like it. This is basically a mental model I just kind of came up with after the question was asked. And in terms of time management and stuff, right off the bat, I don't believe in time management at all, in the sense of, like, you can't really manage time. You can manage four things though, in relation to, when you're going through time. Everybody's in the same context, I mean, for the most part, in terms of everybody has a certain amount of years you're gonna live, right? You don't know what those years are, but the fact is, it's a matter of, I love the Lincoln quote, it's not how much time that you have in your life, but how much life do you have in the time that you have. So let me go ahead and explain how this mental model works. Essentially, every airplane has 4 or 5 components, or an arrowhead. Essentially, you've got your wings, right? You've got the arrowhead, and you've got the force that's driving it, right? Similarly, with an airplane, you've got your 2 wings, you've got the body, you got the pilot, engine, and all that, and you've got the fuel that is propelling the airplane forward. Each of these is basically the model for life. What are those things? Let's start with the wings, right? You need liftoff. In order to get liftoff, you need propulsion. So let's first start with energy, right? That's what's going to be driving you. That's the fuel of the airplane, right? You need fuel to burn, and that fuel to burn is basically your personal energy, right? You can manage your personal energy without a doubt. Basically, it's these 3 areas. It's nutrition, what you put in your body, and also ensuring and deciding on what you're not going to put in your body. Then there's exercise, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. This has to do with everything that you have in terms of your muscles and all of that. And recovery is when you do use it and you do consume food, or your body burns the energy. There's gonna be maintenance required, and recovery is where you get that maintenance. And that recovery can be in the form of sleep. It can be form of mobilization, it could be form of whatever, but there's recovery that's required. This will lend itself to optimal personal energy, which is the fuel that's going to be able to get you to move forward, that you'll be able to burn and drive that rocket or airplane forward. That is part 1, or at least the first component of the, I guess, the airplane model. The second component, let's talk about the wing, right? What is that wing? There's something called behavioral tendencies. Essentially, it's your habits, right? You can have all the energy in the world, but if your habits, or you're not moving through life in line with your behavioral tendencies and your habits, then you're not going to be able to get much traction with the air around you. So one of the things that I would recommend, there's a great mental model by Gretchen Rubin, which talks about the 4 major tendencies. I've talked about this before, but let's address it here again. There are 4 types of behavioral tendencies, one of which people generally tend to embody. So among them is, like this basic scenario that you can look at if you want to answer this question for yourself, is if you are in, say, small town, middle of nowhere, America, and you come to a stop sign, or there's a stop sign approaching, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, late at night, no one's, or supposedly nobody's around. Now, if you come to that stop sign and you stop at the stop sign only simply because it says stop, then you're what she calls she's an you're an upholder. If there's rules, you will uphold the rules. You just need a system to follow. Now, if you're somebody who stops at the stop sign not because it says stop, but because you're afraid that there might be a cop around the corner, then you're what's called an obliger, meaning you're great at fulfilling expectations of those around you, if granted that there's accountability, but you're terrible at upholding expectations for yourself. Then there's the third category of people who come to that stop sign, and if they see traffic, they'll look to see if there's traffic, but if there's no traffic, they'll just blow right through the stop sign. And if there's a reason to stop, then they will stop, i.e. there's traffic, it might be a danger to somebody. And so that's why having this behavioral tendency, if you do that, Suddenly, as I'm talking, there's all this noise. But anyway, if you blow through the stop sign because there's no reason to stop, then you're the type of individual that's a questioner, meaning that you need a reason for behavioral change or to accomplish things. You're great at upholding things for yourself because you have a reason, but you're terrible at doing it for other people if the reason is not apparent. And the last category has to do with people who will just blow through the stop sign because there's a rule. They're the type of people that you tell them what to do, they'll do the opposite. That's the rebel. And so that's why if you understand, a huge part about this model is self-awareness. So if you understand what your system is and what you do, then how you behave, then you can navigate and you'll be able to lift off and appropriate accordingly. So like, let's say for example, you need somebody to hold you accountable, then all you have to do is simply get somebody to some sort of accountability system. Or if you're a questioner like myself, then you need reason enough to do what it is that you do. As long as that reason is apparent and clear, then you'll continue doing things. So that is the behavioral tendency. That is the first wing. Let's talk about the second wing. All right, so the second wing has to do with social and cultural systems, essentially things that establish expectations of you. And so this has to do with things like something simple, right? The idea of rush hour. Right? If you live in a modern American city and you have to get to work, then you know that you're going to be stuck in rush hour, and therefore you're going to have to be able to navigate the fact that it's going to take you X amount of time to get from point A to point B. So therefore, if let's say you are a freelancer and you want to do your groceries and you want to optimize the time that it takes to get that work done, well, you need to be able to be aware of the cultural and social systems that are available so that you don't go do grocery shopping at the height of rush hour. And so it's just a matter of knowing that. Or it could be that your job is a particular place and the expectation is that you got to be there by a particular time, and there's no public transportation. So therefore, as a means of navigating the social and cultural systems, you actually move closer to your workplace as a means of minimizing the time spent in transit so that you have more time to do what you want to do, or you have more time spent in the things that matter more to you. So that's that wing. Oh, the other thing is this also applies to in terms of cultural systems, like ethnic culture. So you might we live in a pluralistic society, multiple cultures. So the other thing that could be is just this idea of if you're not white, then any engagement or dinner party that you go to is going to most likely, if it says it's going to start at 7 o'clock, most likely it's going to start at 9. And so it's a matter of knowing these things and whether or not you want to be able to spend that time on those activities. So that's basically this whole second wing of getting your cultural and social systems up in play. Now, once you've got your social and cultural wings, self-aware, you've got your behavioral tendency self-aware, and you've got your personal energy outlined in terms of what's going to move you, then you need to identify what are your personal strengths, right? This is the engine, this is the pilot, this is the driver, right? And at the end of the day, this comes down to your personal talents, your knowledge and skills, and the application of those knowledge and skills towards solving particular problems. And that is what's going to move this entire arrowhead in a particular direction. So the question now becomes what is the pursuit and the productivity towards that pursuit using the strengths while navigating your own personal tendencies and social culture systems while having the energy to do all of that. That is basically the system that I believe in, that has worked pretty well for me and makes a lot of sense, as opposed to this idea of time management. Granted, this whole idea of systems of using calendars. I'm a big calendar user and advocate. Using different apps and things like that, that's all fine. But that goes into the productivity issue of, minimizing the things that you don't want to or need to do, so long as you have more of that energy, that limited resource expended towards moving this ship in the direction of your pursuit, your goal, your ultimate destination, or at least, even if that destination is something that cannot be achieved, then at least the journey along the way isn't one that is miserable. So that's it. That's my answer. This is how I approach Ramadan. And just in the context of fasting, a big part about it is personal energy. So in terms of having the recovery exercise and nutrition so that you can operate through the day, knowing your habits while you're engaging this month because of disruptions, knowing based on your ethnic cultural background, the expectations that are required. Do you have to go to every dinner? Are you expected to go to every dinner? And at the same time, how are you applying your strengths within this month towards the particular pursuits and being productive while navigating and minimizing the negative effects of both of these wings while also propelling you forward? That's it, guys. Hope that helps. That's a benefit. I'm out.